This is my beautiful daughter, Samantha. She has lupus, and she's going to tell you a little bit about it.
Hi, so my name's Samantha Wayne, and like she said, I have lupus. I was diagnosed at the age of 14, and I was actually here a student at Palo Verde at the time. And so my first goal is to tell you what lupus is. I don't think we emphasize that enough, and people really don't understand what it is, and I didn't know what it was when I got diagnosed. I didn't even hear of it. So basically, it's an autoimmune disease, which means that my body is attacking itself. And that causes symptoms like joint pain, muscle weakness, fatigue. It can also affect any organ like the heart, kidneys, lungs, central nervous system, and skin, even the blood. So it can get really serious. There is no cure for it, and that's why this is so important, because it's just a disease. It's a lifelong disease that you live with, and you live every day in pain, and there's an estimated 1.5 million Americans with it. So it's really not rare for how unwell known it is. And I also have a special story I want to share with you today, and it's the story about my friend David and his lupus journey. And if you've noticed on the Sam's Team shirt, it says, "In memory of David," because I knew I was going to get emotional, but he passed away in June this year. And I met David over social networks. I met him through Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, and we became close through there. And we just connected through our lupus posts and being able to understand each other's situation. And his problems were way more serious than mine, and he never made it seem like mine were any less than his. So it was very easy to talk to him, and he was so positive and had such an inspiring story. And I miss him. So David was diagnosed with lupus in 2006. And at the time of his diagnosis, he started out like anyone with lupus really starts out. It's how I started out as well. I couldn't get out of bed. I had trouble opening pill bottles. I had trouble opening the milk carton in the morning. It was hard to do things on my own, and I just had to learn how to read, do everything with this new way of life. But a couple months in 2007, he was told that he needed a pacemaker, and at that time he was only the age of 17 or 18, and that's a pretty serious thing, and you don't want to hear that at a lot of your guys' age. You don't want to hear that. And his lupus was causing him complications, so he had, his lupus was attacking his lungs, and his lungs ended up collapsing. And then he was having problems with his pacemaker, so they had to figure out a new way, and luckily a doctor came to him and offered to give him what is called a Berlin heart. And this Berlin heart is an external heart pump that helped to assist his weak heart while waiting for a heart transplant. And he was on that for 22 months. And that's a long time to have this pump outside your body and all this equipment, and to just go about living life and trying to stay positive while you're in that situation. But David was always positive, and he ended up getting the call that he had a new heart in 2009, and was able to he was just inspired by his situation, and he really appreciated life from there, and he wanted to do big things. And he did. He was able to graduate from high school. He got a diploma in radio and television arts, and he started his own foundation. He started the Dunk on Disease Foundation, which was in Canada where he lived. And that's another thing I forgot to mention. I never did meet him in person, but we just had a connection with talking to each other about what's going on with us and in our lives. And with this foundation, he raised over $10,000, and all the money and donations went to the Stollery's Children's Hospital there. So David's story is so inspiring to me because he was going through all this, yet he was able to be so motivated and do so much with his life. And he shows us another side and another face of lupus, that things can get serious and it can be like that. And it was hard for me when I heard that he passed, because I know that he'd be supporting me for my speech today, and instead I'm telling the story about David because he had such an influence on my life, and he changed my life, and I always have a special place in my heart, and he shows the grim side about this disease. And I actually have a quote from his blog, and this was life advice from David, basically, and this was on his blog. So it said, "Before something like this ever happens to you or somebody you know, go out and give everything you do 100% effort. Don't worry about what others say. Just give everything your all, because you just never know." And that right there shows his attitude towards life and how positive he was. And that's why I want to thank you all for all you do, for coming here and the donations and all that, because we need to find a cure for this disease, and it's not just something that my family and I would love to see, and my friends, but that other people living with lupus every day and suffering, and it's something that would be great. So thank you for listening.